Italy does not price international students by family income. It prices you by the country on your passport. At the University of Pisa, the maximum tuition is 2,900 euros a year, and a fixed coefficient for your country is applied to that number. If you hold a passport from Nigeria, Ghana, India, Pakistan, or Kenya, your tuition for the entire year is 580 euros. Add the regional tax and the stamp duty, and your university charges for year one come to 736 euros. That is not a discount you apply for. It is assigned to you automatically, and it is printed on an official page I am about to open. On top of that, the region of Tuscany runs a scholarship that can pay you cash, feed you every day, and give you a room. But I am going to be equally straight with you about 3 things most videos skip, but the year actually costs once you add everything up, which intake you can still realistically enter, because it is probably not the next one, and one step that is written only in Italian, that the English version of the same page leaves out completely, and that quietly excludes people who did everything else right. Quick gut check first, because this suits some people and genuinely does not suit others. This is for students applying from outside Italy, whose income and assets are held outside Italy. Your tuition band comes from the World Bank income group of your country. So if you hold a high income passport, you pay the full 2,900 euros, and this video saves you far less. The scholarship itself has 2 hard financial gates, an ICE of 27,000 euros and an SP of 60,000 euros, and you have to clear both of them, not just one. There is no age limit anywhere in the rules and no grade average requirement, though there is a credit target later that decides whether you keep the second half of the money, and I will come back to it. Now, the number that actually stops people. For the student visa, you have to evidence about 10,179 euros for the year, and that is not a formality you show once and forget. The University of Pisa publishes its own cost of living page, and it puts a room in a shared flat, food and everything else at 800 to 850 euros a month, which is almost exactly the same number. You will actually spend it. So take this as cheap tuition, not as a cheap year. Everything after this is the real process. This is the official University of Pisa page, and it is where the whole idea starts. Read the opening line. There are 2 ways to obtain a reduced tuition fee. The first is flat rate tuition fees, which are automatically applied based on the student's country of origin. The second is an income-based reduction using something called the ISEE parificato, and I will come back to that because most videos get it wrong. Scroll to the flat rate section. If your income and assets are located outside Italy, you are automatically assigned a flat rate tuition fee based on your country of origin. Automatically. There is no application, no essay, and no committee. The university applies a coefficient from the World Bank income classification of your country to a maximum annual tuition fee of 2,900 euros. On top of the tuition, you pay a regional tax of 140 euros and a stamp duty of 16 euros. Now here's the part that matters to you. Students from low-income countries pay a total of 290 euros for the year. Students from lower middle-income countries, and that band includes Nigeria, Ghana, India, Pakistan, and Kenya, pay 580 euros for the year. Upper middle income pays 1,160. High income pays the full 2,900. Look at the installment tables, because the first installment is 0 euros of tuition. You only pay the regional tax and the stamp at enrollment, and the tuition itself is spread from December to May. Do not guess your band. Open the table of countries linked right here and find your country on that list, because that single row decides your entire tuition bill. It is in my description too. And on the ICU parificato route, Notice what the page actually says. It is issued free of charge by 4 KF officers affiliated with the University of Pisa. So if your family income is genuinely low, that route can take you below your country band. Non-EU students who need a study visa have until the 31st of December 2026 to file that ICU Parificato request with no late fee. Be careful with that date though. It is the deadline for this fee reduction, and it is not the visa deadline, which falls earlier and which I come to at the end. Before we go further, let me correct my own headline, because 736 euros is your tuition and university taxes, and it is not your first year. Applying to a course at Pisa costs 30 euros, and you may submit at most 2 applications. The student visa costs 50 euros. Within 8 working days of landing, you have to file for a residence permit, and that runs about 120 euros on paper at a post office, because there is still no online route. And student health cover is 700 euros a year, charged on the calendar year rather than the academic one. So if you arrive in October, you can genuinely pay it twice inside 3 months. Add those up and a realistic first year of compulsory charges sits closer to 1,600 euros. That is still remarkably cheap for a European degree. It is just not 736, and you deserve the real number before you plan around it. Cheap tuition is worthless if you miss the application window. So this is the page you actually live by. This is the University of Pisa portal for master's degrees taught entirely in English, and the column on the right is the deadline for non-EU students. Look at the dates rather than the course names. Nuclear engineering, the 5th of February. Artificial intelligence and data engineering, the 5th of February. Computer engineering, communications engineering, computer science, data science and business informatics, neuroscience, or the 5th of February. That is 7 months before the academic year begins. If you are watching this in August, planning to start next month, that door shut back in winter. A few run later. Cybersecurity sits in March. Engineering of paper and cardboard, digital intelligence and change management, and economics sit at the end of April, and one is still open as I record this. Applied and exploration geophysics closes on the 20th of September 2026. Now read the footnote at the bottom because it protects you. The master's application submission dates may be subject to change by the master's coordinators. So this table is the truth, not a blog, not this video, and you should check your own course on this page before you plan anything. One more warning, not every English taught masters at Pisa is on this portal. A few departments run their own application, so if you cannot find your course in this list, go to the department page and look there instead of assuming it does not exist. Now look at that deadline column one more time, because it decides which intake this video is actually for. Almost every date on it has already passed. That is why the plan I give you at the end is built around the 2027-28 intake and not around the one starting in a few weeks. Now the money. This is the DSU Toscana Scholarship run by the Regional Right to Study Agency for the Universities of Florence, Pisa and Siena. This page is a stack of collapsible sections, so I am going to open them one at a time. Start with what it is. The winners get a cash amount that varies with your economic condition and with whether you live in the city, commute, or are classed as foresaid, meaning you moved away from home to study. Read the next part carefully, because this is the sentence that separates the winners from everybody else. Winners and eligible non-winners both get free access to the canteens, but the free room goes to the winners. Eligible non-winners who are foresaid pay 262 euros and 50 cents a month for that room. Both groups do get the regional tax waived. Open who can apply. You must be enrolled or intending to enroll for your first qualification at one of the Tuscan universities, and the requirements are economic, based on the IC and ASP indicators. plus merit requirements. Now open how to apply, because these are the dates. The application runs from midday on the 20th of July 2026 to 1 in the afternoon on the 7th of September 2026 for bachelor's and master's students. Doctoral and specialization students have a different window from the 25th of September to the 16th of November. Open the results section and note when rankings appear. Provisional on the 30th of September, definitive on the 30th of November for first-year master's students. And scroll to the call itself, because the agency publishes the full rules in Italian and in English, and in French, Arabic, and Chinese too. Download the English one and keep it open beside you. Dates shift every cycle, so treat this window as the shape of it and check this exact page before you plan. This is already more concrete than anything else you have found on studying in Italy. Subscribe, because the next 10 minutes are the part that actually decides whether your application survives. Here is the English page for foreign students on the same official website. This is the page you would read because it is in your language, and I want you to notice what is on it. It tells you there is an economic requirement. It tells you that documentation required by Article 8 of the notice, in original, translated, and legalized, must be duly attached to the application. It tells you that non-EU students need Italian translation and legalization by the Italian diplomatic authorities. And for students from developing countries, it describes a single certificate from a diplomatic representation. Now read that line properly, because it decides how much work you do. That shortcut is only for countries named on a specific ministry decree, and the list is far shorter than people assume. Bangladesh, Nepal, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, and around 40 others are on it. And for them, that one certificate sets both financial indicators to 0, which puts them straight to the top of the first band. Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, India, Pakistan, and the Philippines are not on that list. If that is your passport, this shortcut is not yours, and you file the full document set instead. I have linked the decree in the description so you can check your own country rather than take my word for it. Now here is what is not on this page. There is no deadline anywhere on it. There is no postal address. There is no instruction to send anything by mail, no envelope marking, and no warning that your original documents will never be returned to you. The student who reads only this page fills in the online form, attaches what they can, and believes they are finished. They are not finished, and nothing on this page tells them that. Watch what happens when I switch the same website into Italian. Same website, same section, Italian version, and this is the most important screen in this entire video. Read it with me. You must send the documents by registered post with return receipt or by express courier. There is an address: DSU Toscana, Servizio Benefici e Interventi Monetari, Viale Antonio Gramsci 36, 50132, Firenze. On the envelope, you must write the name and surname of the person requesting the scholarship and the marking DB 2026-2027. There is a deadline, the 7th of September 2026, the same day the online form closes, and then the 3 lines that end applications. Students who send the documents after the deadline will be excluded from the competition. The Article 8 documents must be sent as originals and will not be returned. And the date of the postmark is what counts. Read that last one again, because it cuts both ways. It does not have to arrive by the 7th of September. It has to be postmarked by the 7th of September from Lagos or Nairobi or Dhaka. That difference is weeks. One more line: shipments with costs charged to the recipient will not be accepted. So pay for the postage yourself. Now think about what you just saw. Every single one of those rules is on the Italian page, and not one of them is on the English page. 3 more rules decide whether that envelope is accepted, and they live in the full call rather than on the website, so I am putting them on screen myself. 1. No substitute declaration, no self-certification, and no affidavit is ever accepted. for your income documents. That is the single most common reason applications from Nigeria and India are thrown out, because an affidavit is exactly what people reach for when a certificate is slow. 2. Property your family owns abroad is valued at a flat 500 euros per square meter, so a large family house can push you over the wealth ceiling on its own, even when the household income is genuinely low. 3. The agency states plainly that it has authorized no agency and no intermediary to collect or forward applications. If someone offers to file this for you for a fee, they are not official, and you are paying them to do something you can do yourself. And one practical focus starting today. If your country is in the Hague apostille system, and India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh are, your legalization is comparatively quick. Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya are not in it, so your papers need full legalization at the Italian embassy, and that takes weeks rather than days. This is Portello Studente, the portal where the application itself is filed, and this home screen already forces a choice that stops a lot of international applicants. There are 2 doors. The first is login with SPID, CIE, or CNS. Read what it says. That route is for students who hold an Italian identity document, an identity card, a driving license, or a passport issued in Italy. If you have never lived in Italy, that door is not for you, and no amount of clicking will change it. The second door is access with credentials, and read this one carefully too, because it names you directly. It is for under 18s and for foreign citizens who are waiting to obtain SPID, CIE, or CNS. That is your door. Click the Ask to Die button under that second card. Here's the screen where people genuinely give up. Look at the first field, Codice Fiscale. That is the Italian tax code. Because it sits right at the top of the screen, people assume it is the first question of the application, and they try to type something into it, or they go off to hunt for a Codice Fiscale they cannot get yet. It is not the application. It is the username box for an account that does not exist yet, which is why the field under it is a password. If you have never been to Italy, you do not have a Codice Fiscale, and you can sit on this screen forever. The correct move is to ignore both of those boxes and click Registrazione underneath. That is where a foreign student without an Italian identity gets credentials created. To be clear about the order, you do need a Codice Fiscale eventually, because the agency can only pay a scholarship into an Italian or European IBAN in your own name, never into a home country account. And you will also need an Italian address and an Italian phone number before any money can move. But you do not need any of that to start. And you do not need to be admitted to the university first either. You can file this application while your admission is still pending. Last piece, and it is the one that stops most people. Everything so far gets you an offer. This page decides whether you can actually travel. If you need a visa, you must file a pre-enrollment application on the Universidad portal and read the deadline. For the 2026-27 year, it was the 30th of September. Note the warning under it. You cannot enroll at a university other than the one named in that pre-enrollment, and you cannot switch to a different degree program afterwards. One shot, so choose carefully. Now the sequence. Only once your pre-enrollment application has been validated will the Italian diplomatic office for your country contact you, and only then do you follow its instructions for a Type D national visa. And look at the sentence Pisa puts right after it, because it is unusually honest for a university. Admission to or pre-enrollment at University of Pisa does not guarantee either the issuance of a visa or even the availability of an appointment to submit your visa application. Not the visa, not even the appointment. Read the next section, because this is the part almost nobody knows. Pisa sets a maximum number of places for non-EU students who need a visa, And for this year, that total is 4,500 across the whole university. Once a program hits its cap, the university may decide not to validate any further pre-enrollment applications for it and may instead offer you a place on a related program, so you can hold an admission letter and still be unable to pre-enroll because the queue for your course filled up. Apply early is not advice here, it is the mechanism. And there is a hard stop on the other end. Pisa accepts only visas issued by the 30th of November. A visa that arrives in December is worthless for that academic year. Finally, scroll to the document because this is your checklist. Passport, your bachelor's degree with an official Italian translation, your transcript, your program of studies, and the admission letter, without which your application cannot be validated at all. For an English taught master's, you do not need the Italian language certificate, but you should upload an English certificate at B2 or higher on the European framework. And there it is again, the recognition of your degree, either a declaration of value from the Italian mission in your country or a certificate of comparability from SIMEA. That is the 60 working day one. Start it first. One number sits on top of all of that, and it comes from the national circular signed by 3 ministries rather than from any university. To get the student visa, you have to evidence 10,179 euros and 85 cents for the academic year. 3 things about it that people learn far too late. First, it is not a pass mark. The circular calls it a reference parameter, judged inside your broader economic situation, and the consulate wants a picture that is stable, solid, and reliable. A balance that appeared in your account last week is not the same as a year of statements. Second, you also have to show the money to get home again or a return ticket on top of that figure. And third, the one that catches almost everybody, a scholarship you have only applied for or even been ranked eligible for does not count towards it. The circular says so in as many words. Only an actual award letter counts. So plan your visa funds completely independently of the Tuscany Scholarship because the two do not rescue each other. I have linked the circular in the description so you can read the paragraph yourself. Now be honest with yourself about which cycle you are actually in, because I do not want you spending money on couriers for nothing. The Tuscany window I showed you closes on the 7th of September 2026 at 1 in the afternoon Italian time, and your legalized originals have to be postmarked that same day. As I publish this, that is under 3 weeks away. An Italian embassy legalization alone takes longer than that in most of the countries watching. It gets worse. Almost every University of Pisa course deadline for that same academic year closed back in February. So even a perfect scholarship file has no degree place to attach itself to. And remember what you send, originals, which you never get back. So unless you are already holding an offer for this academic year, do not post anything this month. Aim at 2027-28 instead, and here is that calendar. Start your degree recognition now, because a SIMEA statement of comparability takes about 60 working days, and that alone is 3 months. Most Pisa course deadlines will land in early February 2027. The Tuscany Scholarship window should open around July 2027 on the pattern you just saw. And the final visa date for that intake is the 31st of October 2027. One last piece of honesty about the odds. Qualifying is not the same as being funded. The budget is spent down the ranking until it runs out, and renewals are given priority over first-time applicants. But there is a genuine consolation that almost nobody mentions. At Pisa, being ranked merely eligible still wipes out your tuition contribution completely. Dates move every single cycle, so use the official pages I have linked, not this video, as your source of truth. That is the whole route. A tuition band decided by your passport rather than your bank balance. A regional scholarship that can add cash, meals, and a room on top. One postal step written only in Italian that decides whether any of it counts. and a visa bar that has risen sharply and is judged on your whole financial picture rather than one number. Be realistic about the timing. If you are starting from scratch today, your intake is 2027, 28, and the work starts now with your degree recognition. Every page I opened is linked in the description in the order I opened them. If this saved you a mistake or saved you posting your original documents into a cycle you could not enter, subscribe and tell me in the comments which country you are applying from, because that decides your tuition band, and I read every one of them.